my advice, I'm not using it. Get balanced and get happy with Dr. Marissa. And this show is about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So I have shows and topics.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days.
Monday, Tuesday,
Happy days.
Wednesday, Thursday,
Happy days.
Friday, whatever.
Happy days.
What a day.
I love you.
I love you too.
Best known as the mom from Happy Days, and she is a delightful 89-year young Marion Ross to my studio. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Dr. Marissa, this is such a treat for me.
Oh.
My goodness, you're a wonderment.
Which is exactly the kind of guest that I like. Those who have gone through life, good and bad, and then taken those experiences to alchemize them into the person they are now and doing good on the planet. I'd like you to welcome Corey Feldman.
If you're grateful for it and you say right away, thank you, God. Oh, my God, it's so beautiful. I'm so blessed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Then guess what? More good things will come to you.
Does this sound familiar at all? She's back again to mark my Cancer Awareness and Prevention Month show. Please welcome Fran Drescher. Hi, Fran.
On and supporting cancer schmance. I really appreciate it.
So what would you say are some of the biggest myths, Fran, that people have about cancer?
Well, I would say that they think that there's a cure for it.
Okay.
Instead of a cause for it.
This is the first call-in show when I get to be Dr. Marissa, the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura. And people call in to get their life tires balanced and their critical thinking or their BS, their belief systems, smog checked. And today I am delighted to have Malie calling in from Birmingham, Alabama.
We could go 90 days and end up having terrible sex. And then you say, well, the relationship's not all about sex. Well, if I'm not getting great sex from you, then I'm going to get it from somebody else. Right?
That moose just got put on the table. And I see Josh and Jim.
I have to agree
You're
with Clyde.
both nodding. Ramon's sort of half nodding because his wife's listening. But
I understood what was going to happen if Muhammad Ali's youngest daughter, made public that I was going to become a boxer. So I wanted to make sure this was the path that I wanted to go down.
You are absolutely fabulous, beautiful inside and out. And I'm giving you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award today.
Thank you.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic point.
When I go, I'm gone.
Are you lonely?
No.
Nah, I knew that was going to be
But
the answer.
I surround myself with people. I mean, I'm always the one cooking for things. Or I'm always the one that decorates first and come to my house. All the orphans that have no place.
I'm going to have no place to go, so
Okay,
I can come
okay,
over.
come on over.
And life is so amazing if we can see it. news.
What if conforming to the world was exploring the world? What if the question, what do you want to be when you grow up, little girl, turns into how many streets of life do you want to explore? What if the purpose of life is not to die with the most toys to leave our squabbling relatives? What if the purpose of life was to do things that we enjoy most of the time, have relationships that we enjoy most of the time, and use our unique talents, gifts, and abilities to fully express in the dash between birth and death?
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
Good morning. This is my advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. The morning show here on NBC News Radio, CNBC News, and NBC Sports on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Podchaser, JioSan, let's see, Amazon Music, Audible, Tiki Live, Rumble, and more. I am Dr. Marissa, your hashtag positively opinionated host, and I am here to start your day in the most positive way. So this is a show about hope and happiness. There's no gossip, no scandal, and no K words, no Kanye talk at all. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So I have topics and guests to that end, and today is no exception. I have someone who is a dream expert. So I'm warning you right now, if you know someone or if you yourself have dreams that you are a little bit perplexed about and you would like to have a personal a reaction from my dream expert and award-winning author, who I will give a formal introduction to after we have breakfast together with our gratitude sandwich, then please do go to my YouTube channel where we are live streaming or love streaming, my Facebook as well, and just put your dream in the chat. And if we can get to it, we will. We have like 3 lined up already that I collected last night. So we're just going to have a great time on today's show. So without further ado, I'm going to bring her into the studio. Her name is Julie Loar, and we have a funny connection that she reminded me of earlier today. But for now, just welcome in my dream expert, Julie Loar. And good morning, Julie. So nice to have you.
Good morning, Marissa. So happy to be here. I really am grateful for that starting out.
That's perfect. And we're going to get to your formal introduction in a minute. But as I mentioned, I want you to have a bite of my gratitude sandwich with me. And I primed her in the virtual green room about how this is going to go. And she was kind enough to want to play with me. So we'll get started, and I will start, and then we'll bounce back and forth. Here we go. I am grateful that I actually met Julie 6 years ago in Peru, and I'm so grateful that I was reminded of it, and I do remember, which is pretty amazing. I have photographic memory. Sometimes I'm just out of disk space, but I do remember meeting her, and I'm delighted to have her on the show. That's what I'm grateful for. And you, what are you grateful for?
Number one, I'm grateful for my husband, Ted Denmark, who supports me, loves me, and also gives me great feedback on my work.
Wonderful. And I'm grateful for Julie connecting me with her publisher, the wonderful Karen Stuth and Satyama. And she actually has one of my meditations on her meditation hall, along with my big brother, Michael Bernard Beckwith, has one there. And I always get his name, Ramsey. No, what was it? Randolph. Is that it? Okay, good.
I think so.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for that. And your turn?
Number 2 is also my same one. I'm so grateful for my publisher, Satyama Publishing, and my publisher, Karen Stuth. Not every author by far gets to have a publisher who believes in them, who supports them, and who works so hard to get the work out there. So I am beyond grateful for Satyama Publishing.
Wonderful. And I'm grateful for the pool that is part of my building, that I can go down and do laps. And I actually do all kinds of prayers as I'm doing them: 3rd step prayer, serenity prayer, 11th step prayer, Lord, make me a channel of light, peace. And I get to both exercise my body, mind, and spirit in the pool.
My next one is, I live in Southwest Colorado in a little town named Pagosa Springs, and I am so grateful for where I live. It has the only temple to Tara, the goddess Tara, in all of the West. It's a world-known Buddhist retreat center, and I can look out my window every morning and see mountains and a lake, and that is a blessing indeed.
Oh, wonderful. And I am grateful that I live in Southern California. You did the location, so I'm going to have to try to up my location. And I'm solar powered, so I definitely have to live somewhere that is mostly sunny. And I'm truly grateful. I moved here from Canada, so I'm from like central-ish, halfway between Toronto and Niagara Falls, where it is super muggy in the summer and super cold in the winter. So that makes California even more special. I'm grateful for that. Last but not least,
I am grateful for you and the work that you do, Dr. Marissa, and spreading as much light and joy in the world. And I'm grateful to be with you this morning.
Oh, I accept. And that is the top of the bun. You did that so well. I call that the top of the bun of my gratitude sandwich. And now we're going to go to the bottom of the bun. So the bottom of the bun is appreciation. So it's not appreciation for others, but appreciation for self. So what do you appreciate about yourself? Now, why do we do this? Because we learn when we're young, most of us, that don't toot your own horn, don't be too big, don't overshadow people, others come before you. So don't be all that. At least that's what I was told. I had a tiger mom on steroids, and then a culture that says the nail that stands up is hammered down. So I'm, a product of that. And so it took me some time to learn that if I want approval, I don't have to go looking for other people to approve me, because that is looking for love in all the wrong places, as Abraham Hicks will say, law of attraction. And this time of social media, it's, we're looking for who likes me, literally. And it's such a distraction. And I have to admit that, I try not to look at numbers. At the same time, I have to look at numbers, but I am grateful and I appreciate that I know how to self-affirm and self-care. So there's my appreciation of myself on those two things. What do you appreciate about yourself?
Wow, I would echo that one for sure. It's been a lifelong lesson. I had a tiger mom as well. But I would say that what I'm learning to appreciate about myself is my insatiable curiosity, my willingness to learn, and the ability to take in the feedback that others give me.
Fantastic. You just
You just rip through your 4. That's great. That's wonderful, because it's funny because not everyone, has that ability to really hone in on what they're good at. Especially people, we're going to do that tomorrow on tomorrow's show. The question of the day is, how do I take criticism? Or how, I have problems taking criticism. I have problems taking compliments. So if you have that issue and want a free coaching session tomorrow, just message me on drmarissa.life, and that's what we're going to do tomorrow. So I'm glad that you don't have that issue most of the time, I'm guessing, myself as well, but it's a muscle that we have to exercise. So I'll just finish off mine. I appreciate that I love to laugh, even if it's at myself, or especially if it's at myself. So I cut myself slack is another appreciation. I've learned how to be my best advocate, not my biggest critic. So there you go. We have finished our appreciations, which completes our breakfast. Those appreciations hopefully will carry you until you fall asleep. And the guidance here is, please appreciate yourself at night before you lay your head on the pillow, because that's the most important time for you to not beat up on yourself. Otherwise, you can't sleep. You end up going on your, step away from the device and find out more bad things that will not let you sleep. So my hope is that you will take your appreciations to bed tonight and complete eating my gratitude sandwich. All right, here we go. So we're going to go on break. And when we come back, I'm so delighted to get to know both Julie and her new book. That's won a plethora of awards, as well as interpret some dreams. I've got one from my bonus dad, who's 93, and he has some dreams about the war. And my youngest daughter, she has some dreams, some little bit scary dreams, more like nightmares. So we're going to talk about those. And again, if you have any that you'd like to add to that, please do go and chat with me on Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Free subscribe there. And we'll be right back with more of Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa and Julie Loar here on KCAA AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Welcome to Balanced Tai Chi Gong. My name is Dr. Marissa Pei. For the next 28 minutes, we will be slow dancing with the universe in a moving meditation that promotes inner peace, one breath at a time. Just follow the sound of my voice and move with me as I guide you through this ancient wisdom through New Thought practice. As a corporate psychologist, I created this practice in response to my life and those of my clients. We were professional, high achievement-oriented, multitasking control freaks and exhausted. No matter how many successes, it was never enough. That, coupled with a painful life experience, led me on a quest to find another way to live and back to my Chinese roots. If you practice regularly, I can promise you that it will impact all health vortexes. Body, mind, spirit, soul. You will be in a place of balance and inner peace the way we were created. 谢谢.
Be my partner, dance with me, just hold on, I will.
Want delicious Vietnamese Asian fusion cuisine that is so good for your health you won't believe your taste buds? O Lac is a 100% plant-based vegan restaurant founded by Mai on living foods and a love for animals that won't make you sacrifice taste for health. 2 locations to delight you, downtown LA and Fountain Valley. So go to www.olac.com, AULAC, to book your reservation today. Saving the planet has never tasted so good.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome back. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KZAA, NBC News Radio, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and my YouTube channel, where if you free subscribe, you can even get an alert in the morning when a new show drops every weekday morning. Thanks to the pandemic, I got promoted from a once a week to every 14 weekday morning. And I've been doing that now over a year. So I'm really grateful for the continued support from all y'all. My YouTube views have hit 263,000, I believe now. I have a funny TikTok that's hitting 194,000 views. So I don't know what's going on, but y'all are proving those wrong who said I could not survive as a show about good news instead of bad news. So I'm grateful for that. If you want to see my backstage interview with The Temptations, as well as my past shows just last month with the daughter of Otis Williams, the founder, and the grandson, Trace Austin, of The Temptations founder, then go to the playlist for all the shows, and you will see I started the promo for my new short film, PPP, Post-Pandemic Possibilities, as well as go to drmarissa.life if you'd like to come to the beach. Every last Saturday, we do the Tai Chi moving meditation practice, as well as a free Get Happy orientation. So tons of stuff for free by donation for my nonprofit. And whatever you'd like. So I'm here for you, and I'm bringing you someone very special this morning. Not only did I meet her in Peru, she's a highly awarded author of 8 books and a dozen articles. She's an expert in symbolism and has worked with dreams, including interpreting dreams live on national radio for decades. Her latest book, Symbol and Synchronicity, Learning the Soul's Language in Dreams and Waking Life, has won 5 international literary awards, is a practical and comprehensive guide to working with dreams and learning their language. Please welcome to my studio, Julie Loar.
Thank you, Marissa.
Hold on. Welcome again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here with you. And it's amazing knowing time has flown since that wonderful connection in Peru. It's hard to believe, but here we are post-pandemic.
Yeah, and it really was one of those random #accidental, not accidental meetings.
Yes.
You tell the story, because I'm amazed at the clarity with which you remember.
Well, it was a really vivid moment. I was leading a tour myself to Peru, and my roommate and I were walking down the hall and heard the sound of music. And as a singer myself, I was captivated. So we followed the sound and quietly walked into the room where a choir was singing with Ricky Byers-Beckwith, rehearsing to perform the next night. And so I had an instant heart connection with that music and everyone in the room. And you and I spoke afterward, and you told me briefly what you did. I subsequently gave that information to Karen Stuth, my publisher, and that were what led us to today.
Absolutely. And what I didn't mention earlier, I should have added this to my gratitude list. She was my editor of my book, the #1 bestseller, 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are. So there's another thing. I don't know if you knew that. she actually did the professional edit for me. So
I did know
lots of love and gratitude for Karen Stuth and how she's connected us all. Oh, she's the wrong button. I saw someone had a comment here, so I went over there. But yeah, it's and it is not an accidental. We were Peru 22 of us from the choir went to Peru to perform and open the, I believe it was the 18th International Choir Competition. And so we were on stage. We were visited backstage by, I believe it was Jack Kennedy Jr.
Wow.
and his wife that was on, gosh, what's that funny? It was a funny show. I see. I told you about the memory. I'll remember it later. Maybe I'll pull up some pictures. But that was so cool. The Enthusiasm. What was that funny series with Enthusiasm? You don't remember?
I don't remember either. I like to say that I live in the present moment.
Yes. Curb Your Enthusiasm. The actress from Curb Your Enthusiasm. I apologize, I forget her name too. But anyways, that was what happened 6 years ago. Seems like a lifetime ago. But let's start with, did you think that you would be doing what you're doing when you were a kid?
That's a great question. No, certainly not. I grew up, sounds like for you, in a very traditional type of family, and anything that would have been considered coloring outside the lines was not accepted. And when I was 20, I was in Mexico as part of a student volunteer program, and I had a near-death experience. Blew my psyche wide open. And when I came back to college, I read everything I could get my hands on, and over a period of time, I read 1,000 books over trying to figure out what had happened to me. So
hold on one second. I'm curious. What happened to you?
Well, I had, in terms of the experience,
yes,
about 20 of us who were in the orientation from all over the country got sick with hepatitis. Apparently, the center where we were, they didn't treat the water, so I was very careful. So later, after the incubation period, I was in the hospital and almost died. And so my experience was, I'm 20, I had nothing to compare this to. I was floating above the bed, looking down. People, say this, looking down at my body, thinking, isn't that interesting? There's my body. I no longer hurt. So I followed. I didn't have a tunnel of light that some people describe, but it was a brilliant white light that drew me magnetically. And inside that light, I saw a figure. I saw several people who I knew who had died, and I saw a figure I don't know how to identify. I wanted to go into that light, leave that pain-filled body behind, and I heard a voice. The most important thing to say is that I felt seen to my core and loved unconditionally. And I wanted to be with that. But the voice that I heard in my head said, you are having this experience so you will know how much you are loved, but you have work to do and have to go back.
Wow.
So I did. Next thing I knew, I'm on the bed. I, of course, recovered. That was a long time ago, 1966. And so back to school, back to college. And but my life was never the same, needless to say. And that resulted in what has been a lifetime quest, probably similar to your life, Marissa, in terms of things that happened. We have these trigger experiences that push us into a completely different frame. So long answer to your question, but no, I certainly did not expect.
It's a great answer, because it really does speak to, why are we here? What is the meaning of life? It is, I covered this yesterday with your fellow author, award-winning author, Catherine Skaggs, that we're not really here for the American dream of getting stuff. but where really the meaning of life is how do we use our experiences and get the most joy out of this physical manifestation of life. And instead of saying, why do bad things happen to good people, it turns the whole thing around to, what are these bad things leading me to know and innovate with, and to chisel me for, and guide me to what? And it's a very different way, and a beautiful shift that I'm hoping, and I'm grateful that my work has helped people with that, and yours as well. And that's what life's about.
Absolutely.
Fame and fortune and stuff is nice. I'm the people call me one of my hashtags, the most materialistic spiritual person they know, because I do like nice stuff and designer and all that. But to find joy and meaning and how to hold and care and love and respect and innovate and create every single day is really why we're here.
And the stuff is window dressing. It's nice to have, but it isn't the core. Yeah. And I tell the story in my book that most people are familiar with, of the movie Groundhog Day, where the character wakes up every morning for 10 years, is how many, having the exact same experience until he slowly realizes, and that's the story. And the story, he slowly realizes, but the experiences like what I had in Mexico and what you have probably had and your listeners have probably had in their life, a trigger experience that maybe looks like a catastrophe or a tragedy in the moment is designed, if we receive it from that point, to wake us up and change our life forever.
Yes, like yours. And it's like, that's one of the reasons why you're here, is to help with that. So let's talk about dreams. Now, I don't have a lot of dreams. I can remember some nightmares from my childhood. I've had the occasional dream since I've been sober 13 years, and I'll have a drinking dream where I actually think that I've had a drink and wake up horrified. But what the stats on dreams themselves? Give me like a beginner's guide to dreaming.
Well, let's back up just for a minute. So it turns out that most people in America, there's an enormous, almost epidemic of sleep deprivation and sleep disorders. So there are many clinics. A famous one is in Berkeley, at the University of Berkeley, led by someone named Matthew Walker, who has a best-selling book. What they're learning, Marissa, is that everyone, whether we remember them or not, dreams for 2 hours every night. And so they're learning the connection between sleep and health, and even dreams and health. That if people are awakened while they're dreaming, and they can measure that, they know that from the caps that they put on their head, they start to have anxiety, they start to have a lot of problems. So that whole science thing could probably be a whole program. But what my own work and research, and following, of course, the studies of others, really indicates that probably 98%, maybe 99% of dreaming is simply moving the day's experiences into long-term memory, kind of getting it out of RAM and into long-term memory on our disk drive. Few dreams, really few dreams, are worth working with. I mean, if we say everybody dreams 2 hours every night, that's 60 hours a month. There's no way, even if we remembered them. So my own work indicates that when we do remember something, and I'll talk about nightmares in just a second, it's worth doing something, even if we just remember one symbol. Or in your example, I had a dream that I was drinking. And so when you woke up, you might just write that down. I dreamt I was drinking and I was horrified. Likely, I would say, jumping ahead, that dream was a message that maybe something you did yesterday you weren't happy about. And so the dream was saying, was there a choice I made? Did I eat something I shouldn't have? Did I do something that reminded me of an old pattern that I'm really trying to put to rest once and for all? So dreams fall into three categories that I call feedback dreams, encouragement dreams, and big dreams. And probably the most of them are in the category of feedback, just like perhaps your dream about having a drink was, to say, what did I do yesterday that I wish I hadn't, and I want to change a pattern? Encouragement dreams are fewer, but they usually come at times when we're doubting ourselves and having what you talked about earlier. And it's saying, yes, you can do this. It's an attaboy, it pats you on the back. And I had several of those writing the book. Big dreams, the third category, are very few. People remember them their whole life, and they are packed with power and emotion. And people can go back and remember them almost as if they happened yesterday. And those always have a profound spiritual component. So that's probably enough to answer right now.
Yeah, that was awesome. I'm writing it down so I can put it in the chat so people can, if they're coming in late, they will see that. So feedback is a reflection,
exactly,
of behavior from the day.
It's a little bit like your psyche holding up a mirror and saying you've got spinach in your teeth.
Ah, that's a great analogy. So I'm going to just put that up there and see if you can see that. See if we're, how's that?
That's great.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. So everyone dreams, whether you remember it or not, for about 2 hours. These are the three categories that you put them in. And I believe from the excerpts that I read of your book is that there's value in remembering and looking at your dreams. I'm guessing the third category.
Absolutely. Well, once again, this may be, and of course I include serendipities as part of the story. Every culture in the world, every single one, as far back as we can go, thousands of years, has valued dreams, every single culture in different ways. And we now use the dream time which the Aboriginals of Australia use. So we know that's true. There are fantastic stories from Einstein to the story of Frankenstein, Mary Shelley, that came in dreams. There's a whole list of them.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It's all, those are all the ones I can find, I think, are listed in the book. So what I believe that is happening in the world, and you will know this so well because of the work that you do, but then going from science to quantum physics, what we're learning from the newest leading edges of quantum physics is that the universe is a unity. And I think it was Edwin Schrödinger who said the total number of minds in the universe is one. And it's really true. What quantum physicists are learning now is that every single proton in the universe is connected to every other one. We're not separate from all that is. We're part of it. And we're learning more about the nature of our own psyche, which Carl Jung, the famous Swiss psychiatrist, talked about a lot. And I write about that a lot in the book too. So we live, most of us, like in the world of material stuff and go to the grocery, but that's a small percentage of who we really are. We have another large aspect that people call unconscious, subconscious, which digests our food, beats our heart, and most of the time we're not aware of it or think about it. But according to Jung, and I agree, it's that part of us that he called the matrix of dreams. And the source of dreams comes from what some people call our higher self, what some people call our soul, this part of us that exists outside of time and space and lives in eternity. And so we are pre-wired to have this counsel that comes from the wisest part of us. And it's like a powerful tool that we just leave in the box if we don't commit. A little bit like doing Qigong that you've talked about, or committing to meditate, I always say, if you want a garden, you can't just look out the window and see it's there. It takes steps. So to answer your question, again, that was probably a long answer. It takes a choice and it takes some commitment. Doesn't have to be a big deal. I find that people maybe only have 1 or 2 dreams a month that are worth looking at. But that may be the time to say, here's my mirror. What do I see that I might want to think about?
Beautiful. If you've just tuned in and you're wondering who my special guest today is, she's a dream expert and an award-winning author. She's brought her new book out here with her, and she's explaining to me sort of the basics around dreams. I've put up there something that I didn't know, 3 categories of dreams. And so if you have a dream that you'd like to ask her a question about, please do go to my Facebook or my YouTube channel, where we are love streaming live. And I just went live on Instagram. So thank you. I see a bunch of wonderful people there, and you can move over because this unfortunately takes energy away from literal electricity or bandwidth from the show. But I always like to say hello to my Insta friends. So I'm going to go straight to my daughter's dream and ask. She wanted me to tell you she has. Sorry, where is her? She has dreams that sounds like more like a nightmare. I thought I wrote it down here. Let me go with my dad's dream. His was a combat dream that he has every once in a while. He was in the Korean War. He finds himself as an 80-year-old, he's actually 92 now, man back in the war, and he's cussing and cursing because isn't it enough that I served in the war? You're bringing me back as an 80-year-old or 90-year-old man. Is it leftover nightmare from his time in the war, or is there a deeper meaning?
So I think that my quick answer to that is that reflection is probably something that happened to him the day before or recently, where has been in an argument or a conflict situation, and he feels like he's gone through this over and over. Our dreams that we remember often reveal patterns that we keep repeating. And when he was in the war, he had orders. He knew what to do. He knew how to respond likely in most situations. In our present life, we come into combat situations, in quotes, or disagreements with people. And he may have come away from a situation that frustrated him, more than likely with someone close to him. He's retired, obviously. And it's as if he's saying, isn't it enough? I served, I fought in the war. How do I respond in an ordinary situation, not like a soldier, and how do I get respect? That's probably intuitively the question that he's asking at a deeper level. And it probably does reflect a lifelong pattern, and that comes out of the Asian culture in many ways. You know,
actually, he's my bonus dad, so he's actually white.
Oh, okay.
not Asian. My Chinese dad's in heaven. He lost his battle with lymphoma. So yeah, this one's actually Caucasian.
It's the same answer. It's just like I said, that mirror holding up, in his case, it's probably saying you deserve to stand up for yourself in this situation and not just back down or show who you really are, maybe either just to get along or just to be kind.
Interesting. What about a dream that is being pinned down by a lion? That's my daughter's.
And did you say she's had it more than once?
Yes, like that kind of fear-based dream or nightmare, I would say.
So again, without knowing what was happening in her life, the sort of textbook answer to that is that there's someone in her life who is a very strong figure, who's overbearing, and who your daughter feels she's constantly coming up against this individual that's holding her down and preventing her from being who she is. The other aspect of that could be that there's a lion inside your daughter who wants to express itself, and it's trying to hold down the part of her who's afraid, the part of her who doesn't feel strong enough to stand up to that lion and say, hey, you know what? To quote Helen Reddy, I am woman, hear me roar. So only the context of the dream and what's going on in her life and who she just dealt with and who that person may be, the lion, someone else, or her. But it's about her being brave.
Interesting. So her roommate says a reoccurring dream of having a hydraulic press squish you, which sounds similar to the lion. I said, I hope that's not yours. She goes, no, that's Vanessa's. So a recurring dream of having a hydraulic press squish you.
Well, once again, without having any context or knowing, I would ask her to look at the situation, because that one feels like it could be a health dream. That one feels like it could be a message that there might be some pattern in her health or her behavior. Because it's hydraulic, it has to do with water. Therefore, it has to do also with emotions. Is she repressing emotions, which is something like that, would be keeping it inside under pressure and reluctant to express the feelings to someone else? Or does she need more water? Sometimes these things can be very simple.
Interesting. Finally, a dream about a bunch of crabs trying to bite you.
Once again, now one of the most common dreams that people have has to do with teeth. And so once again, I don't know the person or the circumstance, but what the most textbook answer would be is maybe she was crabby yesterday and there's something she said or should have said, and her subconscious is saying, you know what, you should think about that. And maybe even there's somebody you should apologize to because you overreacted in a situation. This is often how it works.
Yes, I love it. Maybe she needs to apologize to me. No, I'm just kidding. But it's fascinating stuff. So I guess one of my skeptical questions was, do they really have to mean something? Is this not overthinking things? Like it's just a dream? Because, that is one of the responses to that. So curious as to your response.
Well, fair enough. And probably from your studies, you'll recognize the name of Marie-Louise von France, who spent 30 years working with Carl Jung and interpreted 65,000 dreams over the course of her lifetime in her work. And I have a quote from her that I really love. She said, "The unconscious doesn't waste much spit telling you what you already know."
All right.
Isn't that great?
It is.
My answer is, if you remember it, if it's just something fleeting that disappears when you wake up, but if it sticks with you, if there's something about that dream, like being jumped on by a lion or a hydraulic press, if we remember it and that image just sticks with us through the day, then usually it's worth taking some time to reflect on.
So there is value just in the sense of self-reflection, which is another muscle that a lot of us don't have. Yes. We react, we don't really examine, we have knee-jerk reactions. I love that word because it's so descriptive of the jerk, that knee-jerks. So the definite value of dreams is it allows you to self-reflect.
Yes.
And maybe it's not the exact thing that it means, but at least you're wondering about it.
I think it's important to know that, again, one of the things that Jung described, and it's something that I think is so significant, the body has physiological homeostasis. If we run too fast, our heartbeat speeds up. If our blood pressure can go up. If we eat something that's too acidy, our stomach aches. That's called homeostasis. And the body has a built-in physiological mechanism to attempt to bring the body back to equilibrium. The psyche has the same. And dreams are the primary way to establish psychological homeostasis, to give us a mirror to say, you know, you went off the line here a little bit, or you need a little encouragement, stop doubting yourself so much. But we typically just ignore it, just like Phil Connors in Groundhog Day went 10 years ignoring the feedback. So we have this tremendous built-in gift and guidance, but we need to acknowledge it, to pick up that tool. And it doesn't need to be onerous, but I find, and the people that I work with find, that when they're willing to spend some time with it, the results are generally well worth any amount of time spent. And to respect that deeper part of us that has this guidance, and the part of us that dwells in eternity, which is sending us love and light all the time.
Absolutely. And that reminds me of my best dream was I was missing my dad, my Chinese dad, who died when he was 70 to lymphoma too early. He saw my younger daughter when she was 21 days old and never recovered. And it was so sad because that's all he ever wanted was grandchildren. And, you know, it was so unfair. And I remember, particularly in a moment of pain, I had a dream that I was flying. Oh, that's the other thing I want to ask you. A lot of people have flying dreams. And my flying dream was I flew up into heaven and I saw my dad sitting with a group of people, and they were all like watching this giant big screen TV. And every once in a while they would stand up and go, woo! And then I'm like, what are they watching? And I flew in closer and stand up and go, woo! And clap, and flew in closer. And it turns out, let's see if I can tell this without crying, they were watching my life. And every time something beautiful happened, they would stand up and cheer. And all the people who I loved who were on the other side were with my dad. And it was the most beautiful dream. And from that point on, I did not grieve my father's passing. And it was such a beautiful gift. So tell me, I'm guessing that my unconscious, my psyche was encouraging me, and it was a big dream.
Yes.
And a reflection of behavior. It was all three categories that I did not need to continue to grieve and be maudlin every time I thought about my dad.
What a beautiful story. I would say that was no dream. I would say that was an experience and an incredible gift of the reality of what exists. And through the work of many people who do research on these things, that's exactly what happens. And, you know, they're happy there. They're out of the conflict and they want us to be happy and thrive. And your dad is with you all the time, whether you know it. And we all have these experiences. That's something else. But thank you for sharing. I just got waves of chills as you were telling that story. And so that stays with you. That is in the big dream category, experience category. That's the reality that I think we can be reminded of, that we're not doing this alone.
Yeah.
We really have incredible support from the unseen realms.
Absolutely. I love that proton thing too, that we are one, we're all connected somehow. And that the practice of my 3-breath technology connects us when we take a breath.
Yes.
And so go back to the flying. Why do a lot of people have flying dreams?
No, that's a good question. It turns out there are eight common dream themes that everybody has through one part or another. And I'll see if flying and falling are one. Being undressed or unprepared in public is a common one. Being at either school or trying to learn something, being late, running for a bus or a plane, trying to make a phone call or communication. I don't know whether I covered all 8. Oh, losing teeth or something to do with teeth. And that was the thing about the crabby one, that I wondered if that was kind of in that category. So there are these 8 primary themes. Jung called them motifs. that everybody has that kind of a dream at some point or another, trying to go to the bathroom, trying to find one.
Yeah, bathroom. What's the bathroom one?
Typically, it has to do, typically, again, you have to know the person and the sequence. Typically, it's really very simple. It either means you need to get up and use the bathroom, or it's a meaning of needing to release emotions that are trapped. Water always has to do with the emotions. And so often that's a big thing. People dream about weather or storms or things like that. All of those things are covered in the book in terms of giving people ideas about, and especially if there are things that recur, like your daughter's dream about the lion. You know, that's a powerful message for whether it means she needs to stand up to that beast, whoever it is, or to find that courage in herself.
I'll take the second one because I don't want to think that I'm the beast. But if that is the feedback, I will have to look at that. But where can we find this marvelous book that helps us understand and use the spit?
That's right. Use the spit. There you go. I may have to incorporate that somehow. Well, it's available wherever books are sold. It's available through satyamapublishing.com, my wonderful publisher. It's available on Amazon or through anywhere that you would want to go look for a book. It's available both in print and ebook form. And thank you very much in advance and I just am about to put out a comprehensive symbol dictionary as a companion to the book. So more news about that later.
Yes, I'm writing it on the ticker tape right now. So the book, Symbol and Synchronicity, and that's one of my favorite words. It is at Amazon, and what's your website? JulieLoar.com. JulieLoar.com.
And of course, satyamapublishing.com.
Publishing.com. All right, we're going to put all that up there. And the other question I had was, since we were talking about synchronicity, is what is the meaning? Because I see synchronous numbers all the time. 111, 222, 1144, all of that. Is there a reason?
I'm so glad you asked, because we came to the end and I didn't get to talk about that. The whole idea of reality and time space, we're learning how much more fluid that is, and all the work that people do, law of attraction, manifestation. But we live in a singularity, and the role of synchronicities, in my opinion, is to bring us a jolt to realize that our waking life and our sleeping life, all of our life, is not disconnected, and all of it functions through the language of symbols, which is what we need to learn. And when a powerful synchronicity accompanies a dream, there's a famous story from Carl Jung and others, it's an even more profound message to pay attention to what's happening and to listen. Synchronicity comes from two Greek words that mean together in time. And so when these happen, I can't remember the exact quote, but Deepak Chopra says something like to think of a synchronicity as just a random occurrence rather than a moment of profound grace is to lose the opportunity for a priceless moment. I'm paraphrasing his quote. I didn't do it exactly.
Beautiful. We're out of time, so I want to quickly have you do this peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live, encouraging you to look at your dreams, go get Julie's book, Symbols and Synchronicity. Thank you for tuning in. Come back tomorrow. This is Dr. Marissa reminding you to have the best day ever. See you tomorrow.